Okay, today's science lesson we're going to be learning about fish because later on in the week we're going to be setting up our own fish tank in the classroom. So I'm going to read a book. I know it's a little below our grade level, but it's a good book that has a lot of facts about fish. It's called What It's Like to Be a Fish. Fish live in water, in lakes, ponds, aquariums, even plastic bags. Your pet goldfish can live in a bowl. You can watch the golden fish slip over and under the castle, hide among the water plants, and glide quietly around their underwater world. A fish's body is just right for living underwater, just as your body is right for living on land. You can swim, but a fish can swim much better. A fish's sleek body is the perfect shape for swimming. Fins stick out from the fish's body. They help the fish to swim. A goldfish's tail fin pushes it through the water. 6 other fins steady, steer, or stop it. Most fish have skin that is covered with scales. Scales help fish to swim too. The scales are hard and clear. They overlap like shingles on a roof. The smooth, slick scales let fish slide easily through the water. A clear slime covers the scales. It helps the fish glide through the water too. Scales and slime also help to keep a fish healthy. The stiff scales protect a fish's delicate skin from cuts and scrapes. Many germs in the water get stuck in a fish's slime coating and are washed away before they can make the fish sick. Both scales and slime keep water from seeping into the fish's skin. When fish swim, they swing their tail fins back and forth and wave other fins. They look as though they're flying through the water. If you watch a goldfish, you'll see that they open and close their mouths all day and night. They look as if they're drinking water, but they're not. They're breathing. You breathe all day and all night too, but you can't breathe underwater the way fish do. Fish breathe with their gills, and you breathe with your lungs. You breathe in, air goes to lungs inside your body. Your body takes the oxygen that you need from the air. Then you breathe out the parts of the air that you don't need. Fish need oxygen too. There is oxygen in water, just as there is oxygen in air. A goldfish opens its mouth and lets some water in. When the fish closes its mouth, the water flows over the gills inside its body. The fish's body takes the oxygen it needs from the water. After passing over the gills, the water leaves the fish's body through gill openings. For a goldfish, opening and closing its mouth is just like breathing in and out. Fish need food just as you do, but they eat underwater. At feeding time, watch your goldfish flip their tails. They race to the top of the bowl, snap at their food, and gulp it down. They need only a tiny pinch of fish flakes each day. Good fish flakes are a mixture of ground-up flies, fish, shrimp, crab, oats, corn, carrots, and vitamins. Fish in the wild do not have someone to feed them every day. Many fish eat tiny plants and animals, so small that you need a microscope to see them. Bigger fish feed on worms, crabs, shrimp, and other fish. Usually big fish eat medium-sized fish, and medium-sized fish eat small fish. This is part of what we call the food chain. Fish are cold-blooded. This means that their body temperature matches the temperature of the water around them. Be sure to place your goldfish bowl in a spot where the temperature will stay at steady 65 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the temperature fish need to stay healthy. You are warm-blooded. When you are healthy, your body temperature is about 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Your body stays this temperature by itself, whether the air around you is hot or cold. Sometimes goldfish swish their tails and zip around the bowl. Other times they look as if they're stopped moving, but they haven't. Their fins are always moving, even when they rest. Fish don't sleep as you do. They rest by moving very, very slowly. Fish's eyes are always open. They have no eyelids, so their eyes stay open even when they rest. Fish don't need eyelids as you do, and they don't need tears either. The water keeps their eyes washed. There is usually not enough light underwater to bother fish's eyes. Be sure not to put your goldfish in the sun because it might be too bright for them. With a sleek body, fins, scales, slime, and gills, a fish lives as naturally underwater as you do on land. Goldfish swim, breathe, eat, and rest in water. They slip over and under their castle, hide among water plants, and glide quietly around in their underwater world. And now we're going to look at the differences between fish and humans. Okay, let's see. What's one of the first, most obvious differences between fish and humans? Can you think of one?
Fish are in water.
Fish are in water. And humans live where?
Land.
They live in land.
The fish don't have feet.
That's right, they don't have feet. But next time, raise your hand, okay? Okay. Another thing that's different is that fish have fins. And we have limbs. Another big difference is that fish don't have eyelids, and we do. They don't have eyelids because they live underwater, so they already have that water to help with their eyes, unlike we do. The next thing that's different between us is that fish have scales. They have those hard scales that protect them from getting cuts or scrapes. And we have skin. The next thing that's different is that fish breathe with what?
Mouth.
Do they have lungs like we do?
No.
No, they have gills on the sides. That's what they breathe in. So if they breathe with gills, what do we breathe with?
Our mouth.
And that goes with our lungs. Good. And fish eat underwater. And fish only need a small pinch of food because they don't eat that much. And we, of course, eat on land. Now, fish. Do you remember from the story? Are they warm-blooded or are they cold-blooded?
Warm.
Close. They're actually cold-blooded. So fish are cold-blooded, which means they adapt to the temperature around them. So if their tank's too cold, their body temperature is going to be lower. But if you place them in the sun, which you shouldn't, the water temperature is going to get too warm, and their body temperature is going to change and be warmer, which isn't good for them. So fish's temperature matches the temperature around them. So if fish are cold-blooded, then we are warm-blooded.
Warm.
So if fish are cold-blooded and their temperature matches the temperature around them, and if we're warm-blooded, does our temperature change in hot or cold weather, or does it stay the same?
The same.
Good. Our temperature stays the same. Now, as you can tell, there's lots of differences between both. We both have different types of bodies, clearly, and we both have different environments that we live in. Number one being they live in water and we live in land, and everything's just different. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the steps of how to set up an aquarium, because we're going to set up one in our classroom, so we need to know how to do it. So we're going to look at the steps on how to set up our own in the classroom. So, setting up our fishbowl. Now, there's many steps that go into setting up a fishbowl before you can even put the fish in the tank. Number one, we need to start with a clean bowl. We can't have a dirty fish bowl to put the fish in. And then the second step is that we have to wash the gravel. And by washing the gravel, we just run it under some water. And then we're going to put the gravel in the bottom of the fishbowl. The third step, after we pour the clean gravel into the bottom of the bowl, is to pour a few inches of cold water into the bowl. And you'll see why we don't fill up the bowl all the way. Because the next step is we need to place some water plants firmly into the gravel. And we can also add decorations such as a house so the fish can swim in.
You have to buy the fish too.
Yep, we are going to buy the fish, but we have to make sure we set up the bowl the way it should be. Because after we do it, we can't put the fish in right away, and you'll see why when we get to the bottom steps. And the reason we need to put the water plants and the rest of the decorations firmly into the gravel is because when we add the rest of the water into the tank, we don't want them to float up. Now the next step is to pour the rest of the water into the bowl. But we have to watch when we do this because we don't want to put the water all the way to the top of the bowl because we need to leave enough air surface so the fish can receive enough oxygen. Number 6, we need to let the water sit for a day. We need the water to reach about the room temperature because since fish are cold-blooded, like we said, they adapt to the temperature that's in their bowl. So we have to let the water sit so the water can hit room temperature for them. 7, this step comes after we let the water sit for a day and we actually get the fish. We need to float the bag with the fish in it, in the water, so the fish can adjust to the room temperature in the bowl before we can pour them in. And we'll probably leave them in there for about 15 minutes. And then the last step we need to do is open the bag with the fish in it and let them swim out into the bowl. So those are the steps we have to do. And then when we get up to the 7th step, after we've cleaned everything and put everything in decorated, and we let the water sit, then we can finally put our fish in.
Yay!
And then the last activity we can do is I'll hand out some plain blank paper, and everybody can take out their markers, their crayons, whatever they have, and you can color in your own fishbowl and what you'd like in there. If you want a castle in there, if you want a SpongeBob pineapple,
Bluefish.
a bluefish. Yes, we can get different colored fish, and so you guys work on that.